Hello everybody, Maven here, and today we're talking about the crazy things you just saw on your screen a second ago and more that you can do with the young Ahamkara spine on Solar Hunter. This is an exotic that I never actually used until yesterday, which was November 25th, and my mind is blown at the crazy things that you can do with this thing. Nobody ever uses it in PvE because it's always been perceived as a PvP exotic, but it is very underrated, and today I'm going to show you a crazy build with it. So stay tuned for the full build breakdown, but first, if you are new here and you enjoy Destiny 2 PvE and PvP weapon reviews and crazy builds like this one, then make sure to subscribe. We do this all the time here, and let's get to the build. Hope you enjoy. Alright, so let's start off this build breakdown by taking a look at the young Ahamkara spine. It says it increases Tripmine grenade duration and blast radius, and to be completely honest, I didn't know it boosted blast radius until this very moment actually. But the main takeaway from this, it says that ability damage grants Tripmine grenade energy. That's how you saw in that clip in the intro, we're able to shoot golden gun, grenade, golden gun, grenade, golden gun, grenade, because the golden gun shots are counting as ability damage, therefore refunding your Tripmine grenade energy. And the thing that is really making young Ahamkara spine a very viable DPS option is because solar ignitions count as ability damage. Therefore, they will also refund your grenade, and that is huge. And what is really enabling this is the fragment called Ember of Ashes that says that you apply more scorch stacks to targets. Therefore, one Tripmine plus one throwing knife, which we are using the knife trick throwing knife, that is enough to cause a solar ignition. And it just does very heavy burst damage. Now, to just put the DPS of this combo into perspective, here is a clip of us attempting to kill Carl with a linear fusion rifle, which is, of course, the DPS meta right now. And now here is a clip of us killing him with simply our abilities. So you can see the difference. The abilities killed quicker and easier, and we didn't have to expend any ammo. And the background gameplay that you're seeing right now is what I did in a solo Master Lost Sector. Yes, it is viable in Master and also viable in Grandmaster. However, I didn't try it in GM yet because screw Lightblade, I'm gonna wait till next week. However, this is a Master Lost Sector, and whenever I run into a champ, I'm able to just throw a Tripmine, then a throwing knife, then a Tripmine. Because of the solar ignitions, it just decimates champs. They don't have a chance. And it is very highly likely that whenever we run into a boss, major, or champion, we will have this combo ready to do that heavy burst damage and not have to waste our super heavy because we are using Gambler's Dodge. So if we don't have our knives, we just dodge for our knives. And there's no way we're not going to have our Tripmine because everything we do is causing young Ahamkara spine to refund our Tripmine energy. So it's very often that you will have this readily available when you run into a yellow bar. Also, not to mention, we have infinite throwing knives anyways because we are running the knock 'em down aspect paired with the Ember of Torches fragment. So it says that when you're radiant, knife kills will fully refund your knife energy, but Ember of Torches says that your knives connecting with the combatant will make you radiant, so that combos with each other and just gives you infinite throwing knives anyways. And then on top of that, for even more ability energy, we of course are running Elemental Wells because it's one of the best things you can do for PvE right now. So we of course are running a copy of Bountiful Wells along with Melee Wellmaker and Elemental Ordnance. So either a grenade kill or a knife kill will give us 2 solar Elemental Wells. And then for our additional well mods, we are running a copy of Seeking Wells to make it track towards us, and then we're running a copy of Well of Life, which really helps our survivability, gives us healing for 11 seconds when we pick up a solar elemental well. So the Seeking Wells really helps for that because if they track towards you, you get that survivability quicker and easier. And for our additional mods that are noteworthy, we have Double Bomber on our class item, so we dodge and get some grenade energy, and then we have an important mod on our gloves called Impact Induction. It says that when you deal damage with a melee, you get some grenade energy. So that ability, paired with the young Ahamkara spine, will assure that anything you touch with your knife will fully refund your grenade energy. Now here are the rest of my aspects and fragments I'm running on your mark because Gunpowder Gamble kind of screws you up. And I am running Ember of Eruption and Char just for the stat boosts on them. The rest of the fragments really don't matter. And I'm running Ember Searing just because I thought the ability of it would be pretty cool, but it's really not that important. So the other fragments are really up to you. And now let's talk about our weapons of choice with this build. Now, usually in these kind of build videos, I start with the primary weapon working towards the heavy, but we're going to work backwards for this one because we have more to talk about with the primary. So my heavy choice of this build is the Roar of the Bear with Demolitionist and Auto-Loading Holster. Now, the reason that I would recommend an auto-loading holster demolitionist launcher with this build is because I'll play this clip out right here. So here's another damage phase against Pharizia. As you can see, the fact that we're able to spam a lot of trip mines means that we can proc demolitionist more on our rocket launcher and shoot a bunch of rockets without having to reload. And the auto-loading holster works with that as well once we go for our golden gun shots. So it's very good DPS burst damage with the demolitionist launcher. However, if you did have a free exotic slot, you could just throw in Gallarhorn. It's a no-brainer as well, or you could use whatever heavy you need for the activity. You know, the heavy slot really doesn't matter too much with this build. You can kind of use whatever you like. And for my special of choice of this build, I am using an empty vessel with the same role as my launcher, auto-loading holster and demolitionist, for the same exact reason. We're spamming trip mines, therefore we can auto-reload with the demolitionist perk and be able to shoot our grenade launcher constantly without having to reload it. Really helps when you run into fat enemies. Now, there are a lot of grenade launchers in the game that get auto-loading holster and demolitionist. Like there's the Pardon Our Dust that you can craft, for example. And I would highly recommend having an auto-loading demo grenade launcher with this build. That is the main thing that I would recommend because it is really cool with that burst damage on majors because of the trip mine spam. And now we get to the primary weapon. Now there's a lot you can run for the primary. You can run something with demolitionist, but there is a couple of exotics that I need to talk about. The first of which is going to be the Cryosthesia 77k. And the reason that I like the Cryosthesia 77k with this build is because you can freeze enemies in place, making them easier to hit with your trip mine, because, you know, the trip mines are easy to whiff, and if an enemy is sitting still, perhaps frozen, you will likely be able to go and land your trip mine on them. Or if you don't have your knife charge and you need to dodge but it's too dangerous, you freeze them, you go dodge next to them, and then you can start your trip mine knife trip mine combo. And you can see that here in this clip against Carl. It really helps out a lot to, you know, chill out and set up the combo. And now the next primary that I have to talk about that is also a really big contender for this build is going to be the Traveler's Chosen, because the Traveler's Chosen, as you know, is an all-star for any kind of ability spam build. And this particularly is awesome with this build because, you know, when you're spamming abilities like crazy at a boss, you will eventually run out of charge for a brief moment. But if you have Gathering Light ready to go on your Traveler's Chosen, you can keep on going. And I'll show you in this clip right here against Pharizia. So we're just going to keep on spamming and spamming and spamming. The second that we run out of ability energy, I'm just going to proc that Gathering Light on my Traveler's Chosen and keep the ability spam going nonstop until I eventually pewter out again, and then I can pop my super and go for my little golden gun trip mine spam combo there. So Traveler's Chosen is a very awesome option with this. So anyways, that is about it for the build, and on to the wrap up. I gotta say that in my head now, this is the endgame Solar Hunter build. I don't think it gets any better than this for Solar Hunter in difficult PvE content. You know, I've been messing around with this build for 3 days now, and it's really kind of blowing my mind. The more and more I use it and figure out how to properly use it, it's just crazy the amount of burst damage it does. Like, I find myself running through activities not even having to use my heavy. So I can probably freely just use an eager edge sword in difficult content just for movement, because I know that whenever I run into a champion or something huge, my ability spam is going to be well enough DPS to deal with bosses. And especially more so with that breach loaded grenade launcher with demolitionist on it. It's just crazy DPS. You really got to give this build a try. So anyways, I will leave a dim link to this build in the description and in the pinned comment if you would like to check it out and give it a try. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I'll try to answer them. And if you have any suggestions on what could possibly make this build better, also feel free to leave your ideas in the comments. So anyways, if you have any friends who are PvE Hunter mains, I encourage you to share this video with them. I'm sure they'll find it enjoyable and helpful. And if you enjoyed, be sure to hit the like button and drop a comment. Those two actions really help the algorithm and the video's performance. And if you're new, make sure to subscribe for crazy builds like this one. And with that, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.